better known face or voice at Mount Panorama, indeed around the racetracks of Australia, than Peter Brock. Peter, you going to get out there and rejoin?
Yeah, why not? I think, well, I'm not so sure I'm going to be particularly competitive, Will, but yes, I'll get out there.
Great disappointment, of course. Do you think you can get that lap out of it? In fact, why don't you go now?
Yeah, I'm sure I can. As long as I can select the low gears, it'll override a slipping clutch. There's no doubt about that. But yes, there has been some concern amongst the Volvo senior executives that will it finish? I said, yes, trust me, it'll get there.
All right, well, Peter Brock wants to leave it to the last minute because there's nothing worse than going out and having to do 2 laps. And there's some 10 minutes remaining. So it would have to be a very slow lap from him to make it the right time to leave right now. John Morris is in Class B, the Nissan Pulsar. He's the entrant, at least, of Phil Morris and John and Craig Lowndes. Now, Lowndes, like Cameron McConville, is one of the young talents coming out of Formula Ford racing in Australia. Has a great time in Britain, had a great time in Britain late last year. And in the biggest class in the race in terms of the number of vehicles in it, they're the ones that finally, with a lot of swapping and changing both among some of the cars but among different cars as well, have come out on top in 14th place outright.
Yes, and the Mazda 626s of Danny Bogarts and Ken Douglas, who had both at one stage led this class, of course, both out. Douglas with transmission failure.
And there goes Peter Brock.
Crash. And Brocky's out on the track in the Volvo 850. Plenty of sun there, Peter. Can you hear us?
I sure can. Gee, it is sunny. Lucky I got Bev to clean the windshield before I went.
Yes, you should have the Ray-Bans on.
Yeah. I'm actually getting speed up signs from a lot of spectators. I'm afraid of disappointment at this point.
Where's the danger point for you? The steepest part, say the pinch at the cutting?
I think so. Look, I've got about 1/8 of throttle on at the moment here. At the moment, it's like driving on an egg between your foot and the accelerator, like the old fuel economy run.
How does it feel?
Well, it's inching along there at the moment. It doesn't. It's making noises. It doesn't feel a very happy motor car, actually.
Will the plot work, do you think? Do you think you'll make it?
Yes, I'll make it.
What's it like going to be passed by a Suzuki or something, Ricky, going up the hill?
I will. I'm doing actually 63 kilometres per hour. How about that?
Almost as fast as the A35 Austin, Peter, with the Holden engine.
Let's not get rude. Let's not get rude.
All right, well, Peter Brock on his way, and now, gee, time escapes because it's only 6 odd minutes, 5.5 to the end of the race now. And have a look at this, the Class C leader, the lone car there with the withdrawal of car 31 from the class earlier, David Gardner's Falcon EBS. This is another one of those. It's currently 29th outright. And car 42, crewed by Bill Cedars, Jeff Edwards and Paul Flotman, truck racers. And they've had a pretty good and sensible time in this class. Nobody to race against, but just do their own business, their own pace, and stay out of trouble. They've certainly done that. I mean, 29th is, let's be truthful about it, nothing spectacular.
I'm sure Will the Nexon has driven this race to a set plan. They didn't have to race anybody. They wanted to make sure they're there at the finish. They had their class sewn up. It's not a nice way to win a class, but still, if nobody else turns up, what else can you do?
It's a bit damn silly if you go hard and you don't. How did you go? You were the only one in it, or when we lost. You know? You really would be a clown. So they've made pretty certain of it. And so one of the 7 class leaders, as the Toyota GT4 Celica pace car goes along pit lane and gets ready for the end of this race. You see there the GIO Australia race time shows us, as we come on to the race leader, Greg Hansford, the car that he shared with Neil Crompton. It will give Hansford a double bill of victory in October, victory then again in April, the next meeting at the Great Mountain Track at the edge of Bathurst, but also for Neil Crompton, his first ever victory on the mountain, and he will be thrilled. So will Mazda, so will Greg Hansford, because things have really gone well for him since winning in October, doing the superb job with Larry Perkins in his Commodore.
Less than 4 minutes to go, and a big decision by Neil Crompton, Will, not to step in for the last stint. As you quite rightly said, it's Neil's first major motor race win, and the James Hardie 12-hour race, Colin's a nice one to have on your CV, isn't it, if you're looking for a job?
It's a lovely one, because as Colin was saying earlier, anybody who can do a competitive quick time around this track is got to be a good driver.
It is. It's a very challenging track. it's, as we all said before, we love coming here. I don't think it's that dangerous. It's got some tricky parts, and there's parts where you can come unstuck, that's for sure. But it's a very well designed track. The surface is fantastic. Everyone loves coming here, and I'm sure that Greg will really, really enthusiastically be about his winning here this weekend, because he has driven the major amount of the race, which is nice. He drove obviously in October with Larry. Larry was the main driver. He'd done the job he had to do, and they got the win. And I'm sure Larry wants him back in next October, so he could have 3.
And earlier on, he saw Gary Walden and Mark Scaife getting away from him, and he said, well, this is our plan. This is my speed and the way to drive the car. And it's come off. And he's a driver training instructor too up in Queensland. A fervent believer in the better training. It seems crazy to say it, but government people don't seem to believe it, that better training might make you a better driver. And Greg's certainly a believer in that, so he's a part-time race driver these days. He still holds the 350 lap record round here, 2 minutes 20 seconds on a motorbike set 14 years ago, way back at Easter 1980 when he barreled around here. He's had some superb rides and victories here. An absolutely classic clash on the mountain, a race against Warren Willing years ago. That's one of the great races remembered on the mountain. But for Greg at the moment, it's the present, and it's victory, 2 meetings on the trot, twice at the Great Mountain Track in long-distance races. As he comes around now, with 2 minutes remaining, he will have 1 lap after this.
Let's not forget his long association with Mazda too, Will, because he spent many years with the Alan Moffat Mazda RX-7 team here in the Group C touring car days under the direction of Alan Horsley.
Peter Brock, who's gone too fast, might be faced with 2 laps because Greg Hansford has another one on the bill. He'll come up to the 261 laps. No, he'll do 262. This is to come round and complete 261 for Greg Hansford. And
1 lap short of last.
If we could see the GIO clock, you'll see that there's just enough time in for Greg Hansford to be waved on and not to get the checkered flag this time.
He could get the last lap forward. I haven't seen it yet. Didn't see it then. But I would imagine this could be the last lap.
He went over the line there with about 1 minute and 4 seconds remaining, so there certainly shouldn't be any lap after this one. And it was certainly too early to wave the flag. So 262 will still be 1 lap short of the distance that they did last year, done by Alan Jones and by Gary Walden in winning the race for Mazda.
But last year, they didn't have anywhere near the number of laps on the yellow flags pace cars we had this year.
The pace earlier on was showing about an 8-lap improvement.
Yes.
And then they've come back to this. So
fastest lap at this year's event was set by Gary Walden or Mark Scaife with a 2:32, but still not as quick as what Larry Perkins did last year in the Lotus Esprit for the 1 lap that it actually did go very quickly.
And Peter Brock stopped there, I think, because, if anything, he says, well, I'll stay here. He's off the line. And so too Peter McLeod. And
yes.
They're all queuing up for a finish, aren't they?
They are. They don't want to do another lap. They've done enough. He knows that he's just got to get to the finish line. They're waiting for this car to come around. They will sit very close to the finish line, making sure they won't do another lap. Knowing Brocky, he wants to get the checkered flag exactly when the Mazda gets it too. And it'll look like they've got to win.
So the leading car, the car that almost certainly now must be the winner, it has a margin well established for the 3rd time, or many times during the race really, over the Porsche Challenge. Peter Fitzgerald in car number 4, but 3 times it whittled away from them by pace car laps, and everybody being bunched up again. But they've prevailed over all of that, and it's 1 minute and 12.7644 seconds last time they crossed the line at the end for the race leader and 2nd place of 261 laps. Greg Hansford on his 262nd.
I see Greg's actually been flashing his lights coming down, just waving to all the people on the top of the mountain. I think this will be a fantastic feeling for Greg, and one he'll always remember.
Time to do it twice in 6 months.
I think this will be quite a sweet one for him.
Final time down through Kalchek's chase. Car number 7, the winning Mazda RX-7.
2 corners remain now for Greg Hansford. This right-hander, then the left-hander on the pit straight, and it is a jubilant Greg Hansford heading down to victory. The 2nd time in 6 months for him, the 3rd time for Mazda in the James Hardie 12-hour. Hooks it left, And now across the start-finish line goes Greg Hansford in the Mazda RX-7 that he shared with Neil Crompton. Victory for the third time for Mazda, second time in 6 months for Greg Hansford in a remarkable effort, a race that, but for yellow flags, would have seen a record race distance. But a very hard-fought one, a dangerously fast one, and the fight is on there. Mark Scape and everybody with the champagne in a jubilant team that's done almost the impossible, and that is victory on 3 consecutive occasions. It's very hard to win once. To win 3 times is a fantastic achievement. Here come now, in formation, the 2 Porsches that will take second and third place. Peter Fitzgerald in 4, leading 14, which lags behind by some distance. But this will complete 262 laps for Peter Fitzgerald in the car that he shared with Jim Richards. And into third place, 4 laps down on that, will go car number 14, the Porsche. That's Brent Peters and Brad Jones and Jeff Morgan, as they now have just 1 corner to negotiate for the second time in 2 years. Second and third across the finishing line for the Porsche 968 CSs at Mount Panorama in the James Hardie 12-hour. Close, but not quite close enough to victory. But nevertheless, a tremendous performance and a great fight against Mazda. Let's go to Tim now in the studio.
Thank you very much, Will, and a great job from you guys up there in the box. We've got one very important thing to do as the Porsches come up, and that's to announce the winner of our 0055 competition, the winner of the Bathurst model MR2, Mr. Lyndon Davies from Frankston in Victoria. Lyndon, you will look great on that. In that, travelling around the coast road there and around Port Phillip Bay. Well done. Lyndon Davies, Frankston in Victoria, takes out the MR2 from our 0055 competition on what has been a great and eventful day. All right, let's have a look at the leaderboard as it stood all the way through. And a great win to the RX-7 with Greg Hansford jubilant as he came across the line. Then the 2 Porsches, this magnificent effort by the 2 Toyota MR2s that Mr. Davies has just won. Then Dick Johnson in the Falcon, the Subaru Impreza, that's a great performance too. The Shimano stayed there all day to finish in 8th position. Then the Integra, Mitsubishi Lancer then, and then we'll go through all of our classes. The Lancer, the Swift, the Falcon, a Pulsar, and then the 4TX3 non-turbo. Over the page to another Mitsubishi Lancer, the Honda Civic, Suzuki Swift, car number 47, Nissan Pulsar again, another Ford Falcon, followed by yet another Falcon and another one, Toyota Corolla. Then we're down into the classes, Holden Commodore, Nissan Pulsar, Triple S, and of course on the right-hand side, the amount of laps they completed. The Volvo 850, of course, which Peter Brock nursed over the line towards the end. Another Mazda, a 626 Mazda, further Falcon and a Nissan Pulsar, taking you all the way through them to a Commodore, Hyundai Lantra, the other Volvo, which of course caught fire at one stage too, Honda Integra, Mazda RX-7. We're into the ones that ended up crippled, of course, now, plus some that finished way down the tail of the field. Another Nissan, Mazda 626, CRX Honda, a Corolla. The BMW M3, which failed to finish, which was a tragedy. It was going very well. Another RX-7, Nissan Pulsar, Celica, the Citroen, which ended up on its roof and then over again, Commodore, Nissan Pulsar, Corolla, Porsche 968, which didn't finish, another Toyota Corolla. And I think that's the last page of them. We've taken you all the way through, and what a great race it has been. We'll come back with the presentations. You've been watching the James Hardie 12-hour. The winner, the Mazda RX-7, yet again. Well, it's all over for another year, the James Hardie 12-hour endurance race, endurance being the operative word for the cars and the drivers. I know how the drivers must feel. They'll be after a cold beer and a hot shower and a warm bed, and so will we, Alan Grice and Evan Green. But it's been a great day and much more eventful than last year's race, but I suppose that was bound to happen.
Yeah, it's a classic long-distance race. 2 teams, the 2 best resource teams in the race. They were at it all day. Porsches couldn't have tried harder. The strongest team on the day, with including pace cars, including all of the things that happen in 12 hours, the strongest team won the race.
Indeed. What did it come down to?
Oh, it came down to the preparation, the vehicle and the driving skill. The Mazdas never looked like losing it. They could have, because it's a race of chance. And we saw all sorts of misfortunes happening to favoured drivers. The Porsches are always there, but they never looked dominant. The Mazdas were always in control, even when Mark Scape went out with that great plume of smoke when the turbo went. Yes. In poor Gary Walden's car. There was Greg Hansford, with the other car to keep going, to keep in front, and always retain control of the race.
And the driving teams also, I think, were better choice.
Yes, beautifully matched.
When we get a minute, we'll talk about some other great performances in this race too, because there have been many.
Indeed.
But I think John Smales is ready for the presentations down by the track. John, it's yours.
Thank you very much indeed, Tim. The balcony ceremony here at the James Hardie 12 Hour here at Mount Panorama has always been something special. Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome to the podium the chairman of James Hardie Industries, Mr. John Reid. Mr. Reid, welcome. A few words.
Thank you. This has been another very exciting day, and we at James Hardie are happy to be part of it, and we hope that you enjoyed it all as much as we did. Thank you for being here.
And thank you for being a sensational crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd now like to bring out the third place getters in the James Hardie 12 Hour for 1994. Would you please welcome the Porsche team of Brad Jones, Brett Peters and Jeff Morgan. Congratulations. Brett and Jeff, gladly step right up. You've tried to win this race in just about everything. How does it feel third today?
Well, you know, we knew we'd have to chase the Mazdas really hard all day, and, you know, unfortunately we lost second gear in the car very early, and I thought that was it. So to come third was a bonus, and, you know, the Porsche is a sensational car, and my co-drivers did a great job, and the Falcon tyres were fantastic, and so is our Hardie Duck seating system.
Brett, when you lost all the gears, what did you think had happened?
I wasn't really sure. I had to try and fish around and find a gear. I found first once. I thought I'll have another go at trying to find some more, but didn't. So fortunately I got it back in first, and it was a bit of a slow trip back to the pits, but the boys got it going and we finished the race, so that was good stuff.
Congratulations. And to you too, Jeff, congratulations. A damn good job. Let's bring out the man now who engineered the Porsche victory, the Porsche's second and third places here at the James Hardie 12 Hour today. Let's hear from Peter Fitzgerald, and of course with Peter is Jim Richards and Nick Luttweiler. Fitzy, so close, so close. How did you feel?
I'm a bit flat at the moment, but yeah, this is becoming a habit, isn't it? I mean, second and third 2 years in a row, and you know, I got to thank my crew for working so hard, and the drivers. We drove the cars as hard as we could all day, and also I got to congratulate Barry Jones and the Mazda team for putting up a great show. We threw the best we had at them, and unfortunately, it wasn't our day.
Peter, throughout the day, we really did think, off and on, it was a seesawing battle, and we really did think it was yours. When you finally got that pace car right at the end, did you think maybe there was a chance?
Well, I think I was the cause of the pace car. We had an incident at the top of the hill which hit Denny. You know, I was trying to go up the inside of him and he moved over and we touched and I hit the wall, and unfortunately for that last sort of hour of the race, we had about 8 degrees negative camber on the front and the steering wheel turned around 90 degrees. So, you know, I just had to get it home. That's why I backed the pace off.
Well, Peter Fitzgerald, congratulations. Second place is a hell of a lot better than not finishing, isn't it?
You're right.
Yeah, well done. Let's get Richo up here for a moment, folks. The man who's won the great race in October no fewer than 5 times. Richo, what have you got to do to win the James Hardie 12 Hour?
Well, I think we're going to have to come back next year, obviously, but no, congratulations to the Mazda team. They did a great job. I'd just like to thank Peter Fitzgerald and Porsche for giving me the opportunity to drive the car. It was really good, went terrific all day.
Fantastic. Jim, thank you for being here. And Nicholas, thank you as well. Well done. Congratulations. Well, are you ready for them? The winners of the James Hardie 12 Hour for 1994, Greg Hansford and Neil Crompton. To present you with your trophy is Mr. John Reid, the chairman of James Hardie Industries. The James Hardie 12 Hour, actually, a trophy weighs more than the cars that were racing here today. Let's have the man who won in October and the man who won on Easter Sunday tell you how to do it twice in a row. Greg?
Thank you.
I'll be very brief. I'd just like to thank Alan Horsley and all the crew for putting the car together, and Neil for doing an excellent job today, and the car ran faultlessly all day, and maybe they should turn into a 24-hour race and we'll have a real run for the money.
Greg, could you believe your luck at the halfway point when the car one had its turbo going?
No, we had quite a few things go against us today, but we ended up put that car out, but all the time we were trying to get enough time on the Porsches because we knew we had to do quite a few more fuel stops. But every time someone would crash and the pace car would come out and we'd lose that advantage that we'd worked so hard to get. So halfway through the day we weren't very happy guys.
But now, Greg?
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, 2 times in a row I've been up here and the feeling couldn't be better. Thank you.
Greg Hansford, congratulations. The last time we saw Neil Crompton on the balcony, he wasn't exactly blowing kisses.
No.
But this time, Conley, congratulations, mate, you've done it.
Thanks very much, John. It's just a tremendous feeling, obviously, and I'd like to thank BP, Mazda, Alan Horsley, Barry Jones, our entire crew. Greg's done a brilliant job. All I did was keep the seat warm today, and it's such a good feeling to win up here. Actually, I'm having a bit of a meltdown here. The place means so much, and ever since I was a kid, all I wanted to do was be a winner at Bathurst, and now we'd like to do it in October for Coca-Cola.
Neil, I remember 15 years ago, a kid from Ballarat turned up at my home and told me all he wanted to do was be a race commentator and maybe be a race driver. The career has changed a bit since then, hasn't it?
Well, it has, and I'm doing the thing that I love the most, and to have the opportunity to join such a great team with BP and Mazda this weekend was just a dream come true. They've won the last 2 years in a row, and what better way to celebrate than do it a third time? So it's just fantastic, and thanks for your support.
Right, Neil Crompton, Greg Hansford, the winners of the James Hardie 12-hour 1994, the Champagne Men. I'm out of here. And Tim Webster, I believe it's yours.
Oh, yeah, I'll take it back. I mean, Gracie, just make me happy, will you? That's not good stuff they're using there, is it? It always worries me, I have to tell you. Stay there. We'll take a break and come back and wrap up the telecast very soon. Well, as the sun sets on Bathurst for another time here, it's been a marvellous race, a marvellous day. Very long one, the James Hardie 12-hour. I mentioned a couple of great performances we should discuss before we go. The first one, the MR2s, Alan, sensational performance, finishing 4 and 5.
They went so hard all day, didn't they? Just absolute hammer. And you could hear them coming past the pits, spare them nothing. And they hung in there all day.
Didn't miss a beat, really.
Yeah, very strong.
And Evan, the Suzuki Swift is an astonishing story.
Absolutely, and Mark Brayman, his co-driver, just did an astonishing job. I mean, 4 wins in a row is quite incredible at this level of motorsport. So good, so fast, it finished so high up the field. I mean, that was quite incredible. Another drive I really admired were the Volvos.
Yes.
The way the slower car, their crew fought back after losing a wheel. You know, they were third last and just gradually worked their way through the field, then to fall out with a fire, which was very bad luck. But Peter Brock, I mean, he really gave Volvo a new name, and he added to his own reputation. When he was in distress, when he had trouble, what did he do? He laughed. He enjoyed himself. I mean, he
came back for the last
does
lap.
enjoy his motor racing. Got out there. He's a real sportsman.
Plenty were going to tell you the Maserati Shamal wouldn't make it round. It did. Finished in 10th spot and did okay.
I would have lost money. I would have bet against it.
Did better, I think. Came up about 8th place, I think.
Yeah. First up, it did very well. The whole image that's been created, though, now, I think that's worth talking about just for a second.
Yeah. But
started off very early.
What do you buy, though? Do you buy a Suzuki or a Maserati?
Yes, but I mean the image of the 12-hour.
Of the race
image
itself.
of the 12-hour,
sure.
yes.
Yeah.
You know, we've got professional-looking crews, we've got professional-looking cars, we've got the transporters in the paddock. Only 3 and 4 years ago, very standard cars.
Just quickly,
to
answer that question, but I think what it boils down to is, if you want to buy a Swift, it's there for you to see.
Yes,
if you want to buy a Maserati, that's there for you to see.
Yes. You know what it does?
Absolutely.
If you've got the money, you know how they perform. It is a wonderful demonstration of a car you might buy and what it will do.
Yes.
All right. Well, I've got John Smales ready to talk to, I'm sure, a very happy winner down there. So let's go down to him and talk to Mr. Hansford.
And Tim, there has been a metamorphosis in Australian motor racing in its very own way. The James Hardie 12-hour has become a great race, and there could be no two better and more deserving winners of it today than Greg Hansford and, of course, Neil Crompton. Hansford, to you first, winning in October and now winning again on Easter Sunday. What does it mean to you?
I didn't think it could happen, John, to be honest with you. I mean, to win the Tooheys 1000 in October was a big enough feat on its own, but to win this one, the James Hardie one today, was just fantastic. And just thinking then of the amount of time that goes into this race. I mean, it's a 12-month process, and the boys, the crew, they've been working there for 4 months, practicing the pit stops and all that sort of stuff, and it's just it's a continuous job. And today is the result for not just Neil and I, but like for 50 people.
Yeah. Greg, it's never been done before to take out the triple, to back up in the same year again and win the Tooheys 1000. Is that the aim now?
I hadn't even thought about that since you saw it. Well, Larry's asked me to come back and drive with him again in October this year, so it'd be nice to do that, but I guess that's a tall order. But I mean, these races, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we had problems with the car in the first couple of hours, and you say, well, are we going to even finish today, let alone end up sitting here as winners this afternoon? So anything can happen. It's a game of luck, and I mean, all I kept praying for for the last 10 years was not to have any more bad luck, and maybe things have finally turned for the better.
Well, it certainly has not done too badly for you. Neil, for you, your PR man for the Mazda team unkindly pointed out you were the only man in the team who hadn't won at Bathurst. Well, you proved him incorrect.
Webby up nicely, haven't I? That'll silence him for a while.
What does winning at Bathurst mean?
Well, I mean, I guess it means everything, John. To win the James Hardie 12-hour is a very special feeling, and I think we probably should say thanks to James Hardie for their support of the event, and to Vincent Tesoriero and Forcefield and all the people who've made the event itself happen. And yeah, I mean, I've got the biggest smile going inside, and it's a very enjoyable moment. And again, thanks to Greg and to our whole team. But I thought that early in the week all sorts of things go through your mind. And I thought, no, Hansford couldn't win twice in a row. There's some voodoo reason why that can't happen, but he's proved me wrong, which is great. So I'm glad to be a part of it.
Mazda brought two Group A drivers into the field this year, yourself and, of course, Mark Scaife. Was there much competition between the two of you within the Mazda team?
No, not really.
No, seriously?
No, seriously. No, Mark and I are very good friends. We've known each other for a long time. In fact, I think all four drivers get along very well. And we knew all along the only way to win the motor race was really to go very, very hard, because the Porsche team are very strong. They had good drivers, good cars, good brakes and all the rest of it. So we had a go-fast strategy, and so Alan decided that he wanted a couple of guys that were regularly driving cars. Mark and myself are driving sort of every weekend virtually at the moment. That no, there's no ag at all, and in fact I'm sort of disappointed for the guys in car one that they didn't get up in the day, because they certainly had car speed early, and they looked pretty hard to beat.
Yeah, fellas, how did you feel when you saw the turbo smoke come out of that car?
Well, yeah, the whole thing's been a team effort, and to bring Mark and Neil into the team was really good. And Mark's been great. He put a lot of input into setting the cars up earlier on, and that's why they're so fast, because I have a bit of trouble doing that, because I only drive the things once a year, and I'd love to do it every weekend.
Mark's the best driver in the country, though. There's no mistaking it. We should put it on the record. He's the best driver in the country. He's doing a lot of miles. He's very confident. I think it was an asset to have him involved in the team. And, I mean, when you see the smoke, the competitive animal in you says, well, that puts us in a better position. But keep in mind, whatever the problem was or is could happen to us. So then you think, oh no, so Greg and I were panicking. We're talking on the radio the whole time. Let's pull the revs back. Let's go easy on the brakes. Let's just caress this thing round the track and, try and get the thing home.
And Neil, you made the decision not to take over from Greg in that final session. You said to me just before the changeover that you were very nervous. It took a brave man to do it.
Yeah, I think common sense is an important part of this game, John, and the fact of the matter is that Greg was in the seat, in the groove, happy, comfortable, and that's the way to win motor races. I mean, my ego's not that big that I need to be out there.
Well, fellas, congratulations to both of you. Sensational win from both of you. And we go back now to Tim Webster in Central Commentary.
Thanks, John Smales. Got a couple of minutes left, and Alan Grice and Evan Green, the Porsches. We were talking about it earlier, an attrition rate this year, really quite a heavy one.
Just the pace and the speed that's on. They were going so hard this time in all the categories, in all the classes. And when you start pressing standard car, any sorts of cars, that hard, you start to have the attrition. Cars start bumping into walls.
Well, Peter Fitzgerald had a real moment with half an hour to go when he ran into Danny Bogut. Poor Danny Bogut, who lost the class because of that.
Yes.
I mean, it needed a strong car to survive that, and he ran on with will alignment out and nursed it to the finish. But it just shows you when you're going terribly hard, and there's so much pressure and there's so much traffic as there was, things can happen, and he was lucky to finish the race.
Yeah, all right. Well, thank you both for being here. I'm sure you've had a great time, albeit a long one.
Oh, well, what's the 2:30 start in the morning?
Alan Grice and Evan Green, thank you. Thanks you to all our commentators, too, who did a marvellous job here today. This has been the James Hardie 12 Hour. We brought it to you live and exclusively from Bathurst. The whole point of the exercise, of course, is for us to show you the production cars that you might like to purchase off the showroom floor. And that's what it's been all about. Now, Sports Tonight, you can see Sports Tonight coming up 11:30 tonight, and 10 Rugby, New South Wales versus Waikato from 12:30 a.m. in the morning. So from all of us, from Network 10, goodbye from Mount Panorama at Bathurst. We hope to see you again next year for another one of these. Take it easy.
Driver, the way you're hurling it around.
Now working with wire, just normal baling wire.
Wow. Oh, and he's just about taken.
Skate his 27th birthday today. He is absolutely devastated.
I can put the ones on and let them crack if you want me to. I'll drive my car around here and I'll blow it to pieces and kill myself.
Two very quick cars, very different cars. And now across the start finishing line goes Greg Hansford in the Mazda RX-7 that he shared with Neil Crompton. Victory for the third time for Mazda, second time.
The James Hardie 12 Hour was partly brought to you by the new Toyota Celica. It's turned savage. Coca-Cola, proud sponsors of the James Hardie. BP Visco 5000 Motor Oil, ultimate engine protection. And Mobil, looking after tomorrow today.